Siona God, hello, all Osha afternoon, good afternoon, Nawado. Thank you for watching. So this is day 59 of Transformation of America, the true life story of a CIA mind control slave by Kathy O'Brien with Mark Phillips. And we're continuing with chapter 30 and the interest of time and space of Kathy's story. Most of my traumatic encounters with Leahy were alien themed, but he often relied on my Catholic upbringing to drive his points into my mind. From my perspective, Leahy was unquestionably one of the most intelligent criminals of this entire shadow government. His carefully contrived chameleon-like characteristics provided him the latitude of appearing to share the principles and beliefs of whomever he was masterfully manipulating on both a national and international level. He won Reagan's respect through their shared diplomatic ties to the Vatican and his Irish Catholic heritage. While he appeared publicly to oppose Byrd on Senate appropriations issues, they actually worked together behind the scenes in their shared world dominance efforts. Again, from my perspective, Leahy was a loner who had his own agenda and answered to no one I knew. Leahy's intelligence was often manifested to me by triple depth meaning to his words and actions. Wow. Often manifested to me by triple depth meaning. Good God, how do you follow that? Everything he did was for a deeper purpose, and this trip to Vermont proved to be no different. Kelly and I had been given what felt like sophisticated variation of the NASA CIA designer drug Tranquility, which turned us into the robotic mind control slaves that Senator Leahy preferred. As the drug was overtaking me, I attentively listened to what Leahy was saying. God condones that one, Leahy said, referring to both my role in NAFTA and his pedophile abuse of my daughter. Okay. Of course, God is not the one you need to be concerned with. He is a passive God, one who's passed on and lives only in a Bible. The God you need to be concerning yourself with is the all-seeing, all-knowing God, that great big eye in the sky. It sees all, records all, and transmits the information right where it is needed. Let me give you some sound advice. Keep your mouth shut, and none of this need be known anywhere. Only your vice president, in brackets Bush, will know for sure, and he has been keeping secrets all his life. I'm not suggesting George Bush is God. Oh no, he is much more than that. He is a semi-God, which means he is straddling the heavenly and earthly planes in order that he take action that he sees with his watchful eye in the sky. Content with his metaphorical manipulation of my literal mind, he finished. Now, that's enough foreplay. Go get the kid. Kelly was standing quietly and robotically just outside the door with the two guards. They ushered us down the hall, through an ornately carved door, and into Leahy's bedroom. Oh, man. The room was highly effeminate, E-F-F-E-M-I-N-A-T-E, for a man, decorated in pastels, white eyelet, and huge billowy pillows. When the senator walked in, Kelly groaned, "No, not you again." Leahy signaled Kelly with his hand, thus switching her into a total silence and submission. Oh my God. Then accessing specific personality fragments that previously recompartmentalized in my mind from Bush's and Bird's sexual abuse of Kelly. Leahy began undressing. His pale skin looked even whiter against the white eyelet sheets, which seemed to accentuate the perversity of his pedophile actions. Oh God. With my daughter that I was forced to watch. Oh my God. His torturous abuse completely, he ordered Kelly and me to follow him downstairs to his torture lab. I'll be glad this book is done, y'all. I had seen and experienced basement spy conditioning torture chambers before, both in the US and Mexico, and Leahy's torture lab looked more like a NASA lab. His access to the latest advancements in electronic/drug mind control technology was consistent with his ability to use it. I was immediately strapped to a cold chrome and stainless steel table by the two guards. Leahy began reciting, "Cross your heart and hope to die. Stick a needle in your eye." A wiry needle was pushed slowly into my right eye while Kelly was forced to watch. This entire ordeal was directed for trauma purposes, primarily at Kelly, since Leahy figured I would be dead soon anyway. If you holler, if you cry, Kelly will be first to die. Pray to God and Bush will hear, because his eye now has an ear. Leahy interrupted his poem to explain that I was now a computerized, so computer dash EYESD, link up to Bush's eye in the sky with a needle-like antenna transmitting every word Kelly spoke. He continued with me, "Each word you speak, each breath you sigh, your eye transmits MITS to the eye in the sky. Kelly believed it, which locked her into silence. Leahy's secret was safe for the moment. While I was literally out of my mind from intense pain, Leahy utilized the opportunity to program me with what he said was financial information to deliver to Bird. This required no personality, therefore the shattered fragments Leahy had deliberately shifted me into when raping Kelly would be ideal to computer-eyes, EYES, his message. He told me that my body was a conduit to link up to the eye in the sky, where he was transmitting the information for storage until such time as Bird accessed it. Only the tiniest little prick can access the computerized, again, that play on words, storage bank, Leahy said, laughing at his own double-meaning mockery of Bird's penis size. Okay. This was not the first time Leahy transferred apparently sensitive U.S. government intelligence information to Bird through me. I had photographically recorded numbers in my mind's computer banks. Ever since Leahy prepared me for the task some months before at White Sands Missile Base in New Mexico, it was there in the top secret mind control area of the base that Leahy subjected me to extreme tortures and high-tech programming, combining purposes as usual. Leahy was saying funding will continue to be approved as long as, in brackets, mind control projects such as this continue to receive your full attention. I was treated like a lab animal with no apparent regard for whether I lived or died. I was put in an electrified, metal-walled and floored cell, referred to by some as the woodpecker grid, which provided inescapable physical torture. In spite of his torture's intelligence, high-tech methodism, and sophisticated mind manipulation, Senator Leahy failed to cover his secrets, including his sexual abuse of Kelly. He did succeed, however, in causing Kelly and me to be hospitalized for his torturous abuses upon our return to Tennessee. I had suffered excruciating pain and irreparable damage to my right eye, while Kelly psychosomatically suffered respiratory failure due to his extreme traumas. The physical manifestations of the psychological devastation wreaked on us by Senator Leahy failed to raise questions from outsiders as to the cause. Equally worthy of mention are numerous other high-profile perpetrators that Kelly and I had exposure to over the years. These individuals, in spite of the CIA's need-to-know MO of maintaining the left hand does not know what the right hand is doing, were in positions to be knowledgeable of Kelly's and my victimizations. All of them accessed our programming either for drug distribution, banking, message delivery, mind control demonstrations, or most often for their perverse sexual gratification. These two numerous individuals and events are significant chapters in my life, who, in the interest of time and space, will be fully exposed in a forthcoming book. Oh, come on, bring it. Rather than point a finger at these individuals for reasons of vengeance, in parentheses, there is none comparable. They must be publicly identified for all our sakes, and above all, for our children's sakes. Therefore, a list of perp-traitors has been compiled and strategically distributed for posterity, as well as to prevent these individuals from interfering in any congressional hearings. There's a footnote. Please support us in this effort by writing your congressman that should be forthcoming as a result of this exposure. Chapter 31, The King and I. Saudi Arabia threaded in and out of most operations in which I was involved, primarily due to their purchase and routing of weapons, drugs, and blonde-haired, blue-eyed programmed children. Okay. According to George Bush's claim, Saudi Arabia was in essence a controlled financial arm of the United States. Saudi Arabian King Fahd and his ambassador to the U.S. Prince Bandar, Bandar, provided a front for the unconstitutional and criminal covert operations of the U.S. This included the arming of Iraq and the Nicaraguan Contras, U.S. involvement in the Bank of Credit and Commerce International, in parentheses BCCI scandal, and funding of black budget through purchase of our nation's children to be used as sex slaves and camel jockeys. Jesus. Since the U.S. won control of the drug industries through so-called drug wars, Saudi Arabia played an integral role in distribution. It was my experience that Bush's claim of having Saudi Arabian King Fahd as his puppet was in fact reality. It was only natural that criminal diplomatic relations with Mexico interfaced with Saudi Arabia under the circumstances. After all, King Fahd and Mexican President Miguel de la Madrid were active members of George Bush's elite neighborhood in the New World Order. Before I left Washington, D.C., it was my duty as a, in brackets, programmed American patriot to participate in initiating the King and I branch of Operation Greenbacks for Wetbacks. Oh, God. While plans were being finalized for the clandestine 3 a.m. meeting at the El Infante. So it's Lenfante Hotel, which I would be attending. I was rushed around DC gathering last minute messages and information. I had no choice in leaving Kelly at Bush's residence office, where Houston had dropped us off earlier in the day for my initial briefing. Congressman Guy Vanderjagt was in Bush's office along with Dick Cheney when we arrived before taking Kelly upstairs to the residence area. Vanderjagt told Bush a story about taking my virginity when I was a small child. Good God. He recommended Bush do the same to Kelly. God dang it, before someone else beat him to it. Bush laughed and replied, "What makes you think I haven't?" Good God, it's a footnote. The Alaska State appointed sexual abuse physicians examined photos corroborate that for once Bush may have told the truth. Vanderjagt took Kelly by the hand and led her upstairs while Bush and Cheney began giving me my instructions. Bush joked about working graveyard in the shadows for the White House night shift of the King and I operation. Cheney began my instructions with the usual threat to Kelly's life and was interrupted by a phone call ordering me over to the White House. The whole time I was gone, I experienced a sensation of panic and dread, and having had to leave Kelly at Bush's, although I could not think to reason, the Shasta experience had left me with an incomprehensible subconscious fear for Kelly's life that was compounded by Cheney's most recent threats. I was apprehensive when I was returned to Bush's house late that evening for completion of my instructions. A party was underway, and I was dismayed, gosh dang, to see the place so crowded yet void of children. Oh, thank God, I'm done. Done to go hang, okay, we in a good shot, not tell me again, love you, minute.